The police chief here on Wednesday offered some details of the shooting death of an 18-year-old African-American man by one of his officers. The police chief, Thomas Jackson, said that minutes before the shooting on Saturday, the officer and the young man, Michael Brown, had engaged in a violent confrontation, in which the officer was hit in the face. The side of his face is swollen, Jackson said at a news conference, adding that the officer, who has been put on administrative leave, was treated at a hospital. Jackson has not released the name of the officer, citing fears for his safety and that of his family. The police say Brown was shot after he assaulted the officer and tried to take his gun, an account disputed by a witness, a friend of Brown's, who said his hands were raised when the last of several shots were fired. The FBI has opened a civil rights inquiry into the shooting, and the case is being investigated by the St. Louis County Police. The selective release of information about the shooting, especially the anonymity granted the officer, has stoked frustrations in this largely African-American community north of St. Louis. Jackson's decision not to release the officer's name reflects the instinctive desire by police officials and unions around the country to protect the identities of officers involved in shooting incidents or other controversies, often in the name of safety and privacy. But that reflex increasingly runs up against the efforts of victims' families and the news media to gain full disclosure, especially to help expose any patterns of reckless behavior. The result is a tug-of-war over information, with politics and the personal judgment of officials often determining the outcome in what remains a vague area of the law. What is happening is that in a number of jurisdictions, voluntarily or as a result of a lawsuit, the ability of police to keep the name of the officer secret has been constrained, said Merrick J. Bobb, a Los Angeles-based consultant on police discipline. The Missouri office of the American Civil Liberties Union has written to the Ferguson and St. Louis County Police Departments, formally requesting unredacted copies of the incident reports describing the death of Brown. By law, the departments have 3 days to comply, but if they choose to keep the name secret, they could argue that circumstances warrant an exception, perhaps leading to a lawsuit. Diane Balog, a spokeswoman for the ACLU of Missouri, said that one piece of information that the group was seeking from the reports was the name of the officer who shot Brown. On Wednesday, the St. Louis County Medical Examiner's Office said that it would take 2 to 3 weeks to complete the autopsy of Brown, including a toxicology report, which is standard procedure in such deaths, said Suzanne McCune, a forensic administrator at the office. McCune said that a preliminary autopsy was completed Monday and that Brown's body had been released to his family. McCune said the police department would decide whether to approve the release of the report once it is complete. Benjamin L. Crump, a lawyer representing the Brown family, said that arrangements were being made for a private autopsy to be performed in the next week or so. The family wants an autopsy done by somebody who is objective and who does not have a relationship with the Ferguson police, Crump said. After a third night of protests in Ferguson in which the police fired tear gas at protesters,